Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And Liezel joining us here once again. Yes, my teen life coach. She is a life coach specifying with families, teenagers, and boy, oh boy, we're talking college and careers today and so much more. Liezel is here live from
Atlanta.
Yay, Georgia fans. But doesn't matter. She's virtual, so all over the world, of course, Liezel can be your teen life coach for you, your family, your children. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little about the work you do, and then we're going to get started on this topic today. And I'm excited because I have a friend's son who's dealing with the same thing right now. Do you choose college? Do you choose the career right away? What do you do? All right, go ahead.
I know, it's kind of crazy. So I'm Liezel. It's nice to meet everybody. Love working with Jill. She's one of my favorite peoples. And at My Teen Life Coach, we are a team of professionals who are trained to use evidence-based coaching strategies to help teenagers and their parents navigate through the teen years. If you would like to know more, we just updated our website, so it's kind of cool and fresh again. And so all you have to do is type in myteenlifecoach.com and it will shoot right up for you guys. And also we're on social media and exploring just all the different platforms that we can kind of get to everybody.
Perfect. Well, exciting to have you here. And besides myteenlifecoach.com, we can reach you at 770-235-8202 and on social media, how?
My teen coach, Coach Liezel or Liezel Coach. I always remember which one comes first. But on Instagram, if you look up my name on TikTok, we've got some cool things going on there. And then just Google us.
Yes, perfect. Well, let's talk today. So this seems to be the ever popular question.
Especially right now. Yeah. So my inbox is full of parents and teenagers and young adults calling about, like, is it college or career or job, and what's the difference? And also the reason why these calls are so common right now is because November and December is when, application deadlines are coming in, when kids are 6 months away from graduating high school or from college, and the parents are like, what are you going to do? You need to make up your mind, So there's a lot of stress and frustration around this topic. And as you listen to other podcasts and you talk to different professionals, you're going to see that there is a change in the paradigm around what this generation is looking for in terms of their continuing development journey. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, actually, and they were talking about how colleges are making consumers out of students because, not all career paths are college worthy even, or college appropriate even. And then you've got, this generation who's like, I want the practical here, the know-how, unless I'm going into law or medicine or into some sort of healthcare medical field. Like, why, if I'm doing marketing, why should I go to college for marketing, for example? So I'm getting a lot of these kinds of questions around the more critical thinking aspects around this. And I'm finding, here's the demographic that I'm finding this from, is parents who it's their firstborn that's going through this new journey, or it's parents with an only child, right? Because it's the first time for them. And also first generation parents of college kids. So for example, I am one of those parents. I was born in South Africa. My kids were born here. All my degrees are from South Africa, and I did not grow up or even learn to understand how the college experience works. It's so different wherever you are.
Yeah.
So for me, I really had to walk through this pathway for the first time with my son, who's also like, well, what must I do? I'm like, I don't know. We got to figure this thing out, And so frustration and stress and anxiety and overwhelm comes along with that. But I want to talk about what's real, because that's the key question. The real is, number one, we have young adults who are now saying, I got to think about this. It's a lot to think about. Plus, their brains are still trying to figure out, like, who am I? What am I? What is even in the cards for me? You know, so it's very personal. It's very individualized, and society and marketing and all of these things are putting pressure on these kids and their families to make this massive commitment to a path that we don't even know, like, what the outcome is going to be. And more, you've got kids who are, when they're calling me and we're having these conversations, they're like, I don't want to come out with $150,000 debt.
No.
Right? So it's a big deal for them. And my assistant, she is a 20-year-old who decided not to go to college. And she is trying to learn real world workplace appropriate skills, all on her own dime, you know, all in her own way. So it's this like very big thing. And then you've got parents who are like, you've got this summer to figure out what you're going to do. Or I was a doctor, it's a family of doctors, so you're going to be a doctor. Or it's, you need to make up your mind because you're not going to be home next year. So you got to figure it out. And what I get frustrated about is that this is a journey that is, you know, not a this weekend journey or, you know, make up your mind tomorrow or over Thanksgiving kind of journey. It is a very long journey. It is a 6 to 9 month journey. It's a whole summer project journey. For some, I'm working with teenagers who are starting in sophomore year, and they're starting to figure out what that journey looks like. So when I am working with them, I like to turn this question upside down. So, you know, we just all came back from Thanksgiving, and we were in Texas visiting family there. And of course, we have Zaya, who's, you know, coming up into her senior year. And what's the question? What college are you going to? What are you going to do? You know, like, so what do you, and she's just like deer in the headlights, like, I don't even know how to answer this question, right? So instead of answering or starting with that question, what I try to coach parents on and what I try to do when I work with clients is I start with, and here's the phrase, is what thoughts do you have around continuing to develop, to grow, to build your confidence, and to become independent? So that's where we start. We don't start with what college you're going to. We start with what thoughts are you having around how do you want to be independent? How do you want to live your life? What does development and growth look like for you? So for a minute, I'm going to turn into Professor Liezel, and I'm going to talk about what the research is showing out there right now. So there is, and I am blanking on his name right now, but there is a well-known psychologist and researcher who believed and did research and work on psychological capital. All right. So psychological capital is another way of saying psychological investment. How do we invest in your psychology? And the research shows that we all desire to flourish with being able to build or invest in our psychological wealth, if you want to put it that way. So kind of like putting away a 401k or whatever. Like, how am I investing in my brain development that will then, you know, develop into my life satisfaction? So there are 4 areas here that is completely research based on this. So this is for your friend with the son or with the that is needing this. So the first thing that I want to say in terms of what this means is we all want to have self-confidence. We're just built this way. We all want to have the self-confidence to be able to take on and succeed in challenging stuff. Right? So that's the first thing. We all want to be able to be good at that. The second thing we want to be good at is we want to be able to succeed in our future and going forward, right? So whatever that looks like, right? And the third thing is we want to, if something is not turning out or the goals are not coming, like shifting, basically is what I'm trying to say, is when the goals are shifting, we want to have the hope and the capacity to be able to redirect ourselves towards those things and towards whatever goals we do have, right? And then the last one is when we have setbacks, which we will, every one of us will, we want to know how to bounce back from those setbacks. And we want to be able to have the resilience to be able to get up and keep going towards the success. So when this happens, the research has shown that we'll have a more well-off adult population going into the future. So if that is the outcome, I want to build towards being good at those 4 things. Then I'm more productive. I'm healthier. I have a more satisfied people, right? Population, community, business, right? And also the results have shown that there's less stress, there's less anxiety, there's less burnout, because now you're going to places where you want to be, right? And also they've shown, this is kind of an interesting tip, is that there's less workplace deviance, which is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the research, like that's like when you take the science and you apply it to this. So now I go to, okay, what does Liezel do? Like what does, how do we turn this around and come at it from the right angle? So the very first thing that I talk to future graduates about is their values.
True.
Question number one is, what are you striving for? What do you want the qualities of your actions to be, right? I want to feel challenged. Being challenged is important to me. Being in a caring environment is important to me. Making sure that there is no hanky-panky going on where I end up being, that's important to me. Being with people is important to me, or working alone is important to me. Those are values. That is like, how do you want to see your actions playing out in the world, right? So this is the ways in which I wish to be in the world. So that's number one. And that is a whole, when I work with teenagers on this, that's like a 4-week deal right there, because it takes time to sit down and think, like, what's really important to me? What is a no-brainer for me, right? Sure. So how long did it take for you and I to be in all the wrong places to find out what we needed or wanted in terms of how we lived our lives, right? Mm-hmm. So now, based on the fact that we have our values, so let's say he or she is sitting down and they're like, okay, these are my non-negotiables in terms of how I want to live my life. Now we go to the goal setting. Now we go to, okay, so what goals do you have that will allow you to live out those values? Okay, so my goal is that I don't care where I work, but it's important for me to feel like I'm making a difference. Or it is, I want to be in an office environment because I need to be around people. So that's a goal. So now we're looking at office environments, right? Or, oh my gosh, do not put me in an office environment. I'll rather work in the zoo. That's now you're starting to go towards the what it needs to look like. And it's not just around work, it's around friends. It's around family. Yeah. It's around education. Like, for example, Serena is like, do not put me in a classroom. I will work hands-on all day, but don't put me in a lecture hall with 200 other kids. Yeah. Personal development in general, like, okay, obviously work is obvious. Self-care. How about the goals that I want to have a job so that I'm still able to like have a life and not going to have a heart attack at age 52 years old, right? Yeah. And then also spirituality, community, it's about all of you. You know that whole thing about work-life balance? There is no such thing. There is just a life balance. Work is an integrated part of that. So that's like the other part. Now, once I get to that point, so now we've done the values, we've got this broad picture about what my goals look like. From this place as coaches now, and this is what we do at NTLC, is we then start to navigate the where, the what, and the when as it relates to those values and goals. And from that place, now we can look at, what does the timeline look like? What does the journey look like? What are the resources you need? What are the deadlines we need to meet? What support do you need? And then not only do we look at it like, so let's say we'll dedicate a summer, or we'll dedicate the 6 to 9 months period, or whatever that is, but we look at career and college. We look at both of those things, because after college, there's career. They're both important. Job is the thing you do while you're getting there, or in service of getting there. Job is the part-time or the volunteer thing I'm doing that is aiding how I get to what that end up place is going to be, right? And then, a lot of parents will say, well, are you going to do college coaching? Are you doing career coaching? I'm going to do both. We're going to do both, because no matter where you are in the world, we first start with the career stuff, right? So it's the critical skills, like how do you meet people?
Wow.
Etiquette, right? Your basic computer skills, like all of those very, very basic things that we need in today's working environment. And then also looking at what their value proposition is. That's really important. We never think about that. What's my value proposition to the place that I finally land? What is it that I bring to the table? What is it that I contribute to the overall outcome of all of these things? Then, of course, you've got the usual stuff like the resume, do you have to do like internships kind of things?
Yeah.
And then you've got lifelong career goals. So, for example, I want to land up in the C-suite around the boardroom. Okay, well, now we got to go there. Or I want to be a full-time mom when it comes to that. So I'm going to go as high as I can, as quickly as I can, right? So what is the longer term picture as well? And then how do you launch that? So that's like the career side of it. But then the college side has to happen at the same time, because guess what? We have admission deadlines, we have ACTs, we have SATs, you have financial aid stuff, you have scholarship stuff, you have all the research, like the college. So we take them through that checklist, or that I have like a calendar timeline, like what overlaps in terms of the deadlines and stuff like that, and then helping them through those applications. I mean, for example, as a first-time college parent, I knew nothing about FAFSA.
I can't even think about this. It's stressing me out. Mine are 5 and 7, but it's going to happen soon.
Right? What is FAFSA? Oh, Common App. Oh, now I've got to get my taxes out. What? Like, what does that mean? And how does that apply to the scholarship that you're applying for, right? All those things are like, it's overwhelming and daunting. So it's like, please, please, please do not hesitate to partner with a coach who knows what that career and college coaching is about, because we spend time researching, looking at what are the latest trends, what is the research showing there, are there jobs that exist today that are not going to exist by the time this kid graduates, and what does the Bureau of Labor Statistics talk about, right? I mean, what does salaries look like? How are they projecting salaries going out 10 years from today? I'm sorry, I'm overwhelmed.
There's so much to think about. You're stressing me out, but in a good way. Like we should be prepared for this, and I'm not. But it happens, right?
It's like, and here's the thing: is I love that you bring that up, because these are conversations you can start now. This is like when you guys are sitting having Chick-fil-A together, or I don't know if you guys have Chick-fil-A in New York.
McDonald's mostly, but yes.
Okay. When you're sitting in McDonald's, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a firefighter, right? That's like your 7-year-old, like kind of answer, right? Okay, well, what do you like about firefighters? What don't you like about firefighters? Are there things that you're scared about with firefighters? You start to have those conversations really, really early. Yeah. I mean, think about the typical little kids, right? Like, oh, I want to be a doctor because I want to be a vet because I love animals. Okay, so how do you feel when I prick your finger? Or when you cut yourself by accident? Or when you see a dead animal on the side of the road, right? It's those conversations. It's getting them to start to understand what it is for me.
Yes.
Right? And so, and then, if you have an introverted child, it's like, well, do you like to be with people, or would you like to work by yourself? Those are values, and those are things that you can talk about from the earliest times. And then it doesn't become this like big thing. And I really encourage, like, especially when you start in high school, starting from freshman year, okay, just so you know, your grades, your transcripts, if you're going for a scholarship, or, you know, we have to think about these things. But if you're not going to go there, then you do not have to take all these AP courses. Why take advanced placement courses when you want to be a welder? True. Welders that's a fantastic career to go into welding. But, you know, then look at what's appropriate around that and don't stress your kids out. So I just am very, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about educating parents. You know, the parents who have 2 or 3 kids, they've learned from the first one. So that kind of like, they're on it, you know, they get used to that. So like right now, for example, my middle child is like, Mom, it's FAFSA time. I'm like, okay, got it. I understand what that means.
Wait, what is that? By the way, I just got an email about that. What is that again? What does that stand for? Is that for financial aid? FAFSA. You have to fill it out by a certain point?
Yes.
What point? Tell me.
So
is it fall? Is it spring? Is it?
It's November, December. So end of November, beginning of December, depending on
that's for all scholarships, all financial aid, everything. Thank you for reminding me. Just curious.
All of that. Yeah. So on our website, we're going to put a resource in there for like, here is like what the schedule needs to like look like. And these are the touch points that you need to go to, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, I mean, these are things that, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm guilty of it myself. When my son first started this, I was like, avoid. I didn't want to deal with it. It was just like, this is too overwhelming. I'd rather just not deal with it. He's just got to figure it out. But no, it's a team effort because, and it's got to be a team effort from a non-judgmental place, because you do not, I have this client, Jill, who has parents who are doctors. This kid is not that kind of person. She is a creative. She is sensitive. She has no interest in the medical field, and she doesn't know how to say no to them and say, this is not what I want to do. Right? So now it's like educating the parents, navigating the teenager, making sure that you're facilitating between those things. Those are difficult conversations to have. And it's all about empowering and helping the teen advocate for themselves. So it's very much also about, you know, that self-esteem, that self-efficacy, being able to. So can you see how this cannot be like, you know, a quick like, oh, make up your mind and be done with it kind of thing? It's just not going to be that way. And we're not proactive enough. And I talk about this from experience, because I was definitely not proactive enough. Now I'm with my third one and I'm like, okay, girlfriend,
now you got this. You're like,
now we've got to start, right? So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I don't want to downplay it or anything like that. And yeah, if parents get stressed by this message, it is probably with reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say it like it is.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Great conversation for today, and lots for us to all think about, even people like me. It happens before you know it. I hope those parents aren't blaming you now. Like, did your teen life coach do this to you? But no, they're smart people to hire you. They should understand you're helping their child navigate to what they really want, and that's important. That's important. It's going to be.
That's the one thing. I'm very nice, but I'm very direct. I'm not gonna lead you down a pathway. I am gonna be straight up front, but I am super compassionate, because I have been there. I've made those mistakes, and that's part of what makes me so passionate about this, is because I've made those mistakes, and I don't want parents to have to reinvent the wheel.
Got it. All right, Liezel, how do we reach you one more time?
All right, text me at 770-235-8202. And you can Google me on myteenlifecoach.com, and you can just find me on all the social medias.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again. You have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, sweetheart.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.